Hello guys, this is Pierre from Large Display Solutions. Now we are going to go hands on the system in the agent part of the system to continue with our previous video about configuration and capabilities. I hope it's going to be an interesting one. Now let's go on. What are the installation steps? You have decided for one kind of platform. Well, what we have to do? We have to install and plug in the hardware to the LAN and to the USB, physically or virtually. We can also map serial ports and have different. With the USB also can have several LDS monitors in the same computer. It can be done. Then when everything is connected, turn it on, detect the display characteristics, this is done automatically, and configure the behavior that you want for the LDS monitor. And that's it, and that's the installation. It's really simple. We suggest not to open ports to the world because of security risks. I will also insist in this point. The system can be accessed via TeamViewer. You will do it rarely, is to say, once the installation is done and once you have configured the behavior of your agent, of your LDS monitor agent, you will never go back there if there are no problems. You will be using the user interface of the service, the LDS monitor service. You will not go to each display to have a look, or you will not need to go. You may go, of course, but you will not need it. And now I think it's time to go for the application, to see it running. Now we are talking about the 1.34 release candidate 1 version. We are always improving the application, improving the platform. We have many ideas of things to do, and we do it as soon as possible. So have in mind that probably when you see the video, this version will have evolved to a more modern one. Here, when we go to the first page, we have an overview of the status of the system. This page is refreshed each 30 seconds approximately. Here we have the control mode of the LDS monitor, light that the sensors are measuring, DVA status, how are the cabinets, are all working or not, how is the brightness, is it uniform or not, average temperature, minimum temperature of the CPUs of the receiving cards. If we have a ribbon cable check, it will be also here shown what is the ribbon cable status. If you have any sending card with the ribbon cable, any receiving card, sorry, with the ribbon cable not connected, you will see it here. You will also see it in the application panel, in the user interface of the server, but here you will have the information also. And when you want to go in, just click on configure. This will ask us for a user and password. Admin1234 is the default one. We suggested to change it, but this is the default. We go inside, and here we have two groups of options. Device administration, when we see registration information, if the license is active or not. What is the IP configuration? We can change the password. We can reboot the system, reset to defaults, and we can exit and go back again to the main page. We will focus in this video in the display configuration and the brightness control. Having a fast look to what is monitoring configuration, workflows, and the display status. First, the most important is the display config. Here we will define how is our display, what is correct and what is not correct. We select one communication device. Here we are using a USB. If we change this device, we have to reboot the system so that it takes effect. When it is connected, it indicates us what is our controller, the sender model, what is the connection speed. Here we have information about how many cabinets we have in each port. If the light sensors are enabled or not, because you may have a display that you don't have light sensors, you can disable individual light sensors to avoid some problems you may have in that sensors. If you have a multifunction card in which port it is connected, if we have a ribbon cable check or not. This is important because the ribbon cable check can only be done when you have a monitor card in each receiving card. Is to say, if you do not have the MON 300, you will not be able to make the ribbon cable check. At some displays have it and some displays does not have it. We can disable it, and this way we will not have a bunch of errors that we know that always will be there. So we can turn it on and turn it off. Here we have the display test mode. The display test mode is the test mode that is sent to each receiving card, and this way we can see red, green, blue, horizontal lines, grays in the cabinets. This is done in the installation process. Each time you turn the power off of the cabinets, they will be resetted to not use the test mode, to use the normal operational mode. Time management. What is the time servers? What is your time zone? The color matrix technology. This is a solution for combining all the LED panels. This way we can balance the brightness of the newer and the brightness of the older to provide a similar look. And automatic recovery when it is working in manual mode. If we want the system to check the brightness uniformity and each minute or every time there is a query about the state. Well, the steps that you will do when you log in here for the first time, you will select your port, you will save it, reboot the system if you have changed it, and then just indicate auto detect. It will fill automatically all the cabinets in your display, will detect the controller, will set the speed automatically, and you will not have to worry about all these details. You will only have to say if you have light sensors or not, if they are all enabled or not, and if you want a ribbon cable check or not, and your time zone. And that is the configuration of the display. Once the system is configured, you know how to connect to the display. Then we want to select how do we want it to behave. This means that we have the brightness control option that allow us to use a system strictly in a monitoring as a monitoring system. Is to say, we will not send orders of bright change to the sender. Only will look at how is the system, how it is behaving, but it will not not send any kind of brightness change. The manual mode is a mode control that allows us to indicate what brightness do we want to set to our system. First, we save the mode, and then we will indicate what brightness do we want, what is the color balance, etc. You can set to all the display, and this will be the brightness until you say another thing. You can do it to all the display or just to concrete modules. Well, the manual control is not really a control, it's just a way of changing the brightness, but not controlling itself. The real control modes are these ones: the scheduled, the sensor, and the external. Well, let's go first for the easiest one, scheduled. The scheduled is quite straightforward. You have a step each 30 minutes when you select what brightness do you want depending on the time. You simply select the schedule, select the brightness, and save, and now the system is in a schedule mode. Each minute the system will check what time is it and what brightness it has to be set. The sensor mode is a working mode that it reads the light sensors of the display, and depending on the average of that sensors, some brightness will be applied. Is to say, here we have a set of ranges, and these ranges are each range have assigned a brightness. We can introduce more steps here, and we can recreate automatically the distribution. For example, when the light sensor measure is between 0 and, let's say, 45,000, I want to go from the brightness 4, because I never want the display stopped, to the maximum brightness of 100. We say apply, and everything is recalculated to have this scale. Well, what else can we introduce here? We can introduce a maximum change per minute. Is to say, I don't want the brightness to change from 0 to 100%, for example. I just want steps of 5% of increment. Well, we set here 5. If we want to allow any kind of change, we should say 0, and the system will go exactly to the brightness required. We will leave here in the 5% for this demonstration, and that's it. We can also indicate that we don't want to react on the concrete reading of this moment. We want to react on the average of the readings, for example, of the last 10 minutes. This is the moving average of the last 10 minutes. When we save, if now the brightness goes terribly up, it will just make the average of the last 10 rates, and it will slowly go to the measure of this moment. This is useful when there is a strong light passing through the sensor just a moment. It will not affect the same way that if we are reading the concrete value of the moment. With the combination of these two parameters, we can provide the display a bit of stabilization in terms of brightness change. And now let's go to talk about the external mode. Imagine the situation that you have a set of displays in one room. You want that all displays have the same brightness, and you have only one light sensor or set of light sensors connected only to one display. Well, in this situation, we would like to share the readings of that light sensor through all of the displays. Perfect. So this is what we are going to do in the external mode. LDSmonitor, if you have in the display config the light sensors enabled, is always working as a lighthouse, is to say, is sending one message to the communication channels. The private communication channels, is to say, is not shared among all the world, is only shared between your displays. And this lighthouse provides the information of the sensor readings, the moving average of that readings, and this way any other LDSmonitor of your infrastructure may read that sensor measures. Well, so when we go to the external option, here we can select one lighthouse, just indicating the registration ID of the lighthouse. We can select if it wants to use the moving average, the average of the sensors, or just one concrete sensor that is published in that lighthouse, and then we will use a scale, the same scale that the sensor mode. So if everyone has the same scale and everyone reads the same lighthouse, everyone will be providing the same brightness. This way you are able to synchronize a set of displays, or you are able to synchronize two parts of a very big display that has to be controlled using two different senders. And that's it. And that's it. You always have a maximum change value, percentage of a maximum change value. You can disable it. When you indicate the last moving average in the external will not be affected, because it will be affected by the moving average configured in the lighthouse. You can add more steps, you can reduce them, and here as a reference we always will have a look at the first module of the display, port 0, receiving 0. Because if we check that the brightness is uniform, having that reference for us is enough to be sure of the global brightness of the display. No? Okay guys, so the video is been a bit longer than expected. Now it's about 20 minutes, so we will stop here, and in the next videos we will talk about the configuration of the monitorization for doors, for fans, for voltages, and the workflow configuration to set a programmable behavior for this system. Okay, man, thank you very much for your time, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.